Hello, welcome to Brap Life. Thank you guys so much for listening. It's really cool to see all the cities, like the list of cities just growing. It's absolutely ridiculous to see. So many new people are finding out about this, and we're almost a year in, and people are just finding out, and they're absolutely loving being able to go back and like binge all the episodes. So it's really cool to have stuff come back up from early episodes and have people bringing things up, and they're like, oh, this was really cool about this person. So keep sending those messages. It's really, really awesome to hear from you guys. And as always, if you have a nomination for a rider that you want to hear from, let me know. Message me. And I will do my best to get them on. There is currently a long list of people that I'm working on getting on here, but I'm always adding to the list. So Brap Life isn't going anywhere. We are growing, and there's some really cool things coming down the line. So stay tuned for that. Today's episode, though, is with my friend Adam. Adam and I met online through our friend Gray, and it's been really cool to finally meet him in person. He's just like the dude on the West Coast with a cowboy hat, and it's cool to it was cool to finally like actually sit down and talk to him at Moab. And then finally just be like, hey, let's get you on the podcast. Like, let's get your story out there. So this was really fun to touch base with a friend and somebody who's super supportive in the community and get his story out there. So hopefully you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you next week. So welcome officially to Brap Life.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you. This is really cool that you were able to come on so quickly after Moab. This is like super fast.
Yeah, it's all still very fresh. So
Yeah. So, let's recap your experience real quick. What was Moab like for you?
Moab this year was it was very cool. I was really looking forward to it. It was my second race of the year, second race of this season, and I kind of knew, I sort of knew what to expect going in. So last year, the first ever Moab hard enduro, that was the first hard enduro I had ever done. And so that was full of question. Like, I had no idea what I was doing going into that, how hard it was going to be, how long it was going to be, if I was going to finish. Like, there was a lot of unknowns there.
Yeah.
Felt really confident going in this year, at least just like knowing kind of what the terrain's like and what the race format's like and how tired I should expect to be. So, yeah, I did Grinding Stone a couple weeks ago, which was cool. Kind of got the jitters out. And yeah, rolled into Moab and was before I even got there, the setup was kind of cool. So the shop that I ride for, Motorsport Masters in Denver, Riley Bender
Yes.
used to ride for Mike at Motorsport Masters. That's kind of where he got his start when he was in his early teens.
Yeah.
And he had asked Mike for help. I apologize. Is there a way
That's
to
okay.
I don't know how to silence that. Goodness. So anyway, Riley had asked Mike for a little bit of help pitting, just because there was one Sherco mechanic for 4 riders, and so Mike was going to help me. He agreed to help Riley, and Riley offered to let me come hang out and share a tent with him in the pro pits. And so this is like 4 or 5 days before the race. Mike's like, "You're good to go. You're going to be in the pro pits with Riley." And I was like, "What the hell? I do not belong in the pro pits." And so that was really cool. So I show up.
But you do, because you're totally like the wish.com Cody Webb. So
yeah, Ray told you that, huh? I'm yeah. And funny story, I actually got confused for Riley twice during the race at Moab, because I'm on a Sherco with gray plastics. I have a bright blue FXR kit. Not as tall or near as handsome as Riley, but there were a couple people that were like, "Oh, I thought you were Riley." It was like, dude, that's the nicest thing anyone said to me all day long. I'm the Dollar General version of Riley Bender. But yeah, and so that was cool right off the bat, just getting to like hang out in the pro pits, front and center, hang out with You know, the Sherco mechanic was there. It was just like pros walking by. It was super cool. Um, and then yeah, so the prologue went really well. I had a much better time than last year. I felt like I rode smooth. I knew kind of what spots to scout. It was also super helpful to have last year's Onyx, like the map of the
Mm-hmm.
course, and I
Yeah.
nerded out on like the maps and the navigating side of everything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
able to like overlay the maps and be like, oh, this section's different, that section's the same, and kind of guess, you know, what we were going to ride. Um, so I had a good idea what was going to be going on going into the prologue. Had a pretty smooth
Mhm.
ride. 90% of the way through the prologue, though, I lost a foot peg.
Oh
The foot peg
geez.
in on my bike broke. I've never had that happen before. I've bent them and, you know, had kind of weird stances, but we're going down. There's this really steep descent, kind of going down into the last ravine next to
Mm-hmm.
camp. And halfway down it, I could feel my right foot start like falling away. And I looked down real quick and the foot peg's hanging.
Oh
Uh,
no.
and 40 feet later, it's gone. I was like, well, this sucks. I guess I went down through the big bouldery ravine toward the last
Mm-hmm.
climb and was at the bottom, kind of bitching and moaning about losing my foot peg. And some guy behind me's like, was it a blue peg? I was like, yeah. Like, dude, it's on the trail back there. You should go grab it. Like, well, I'm not gonna do it now. I
Yeah.
ended up doing the last climb. It went okay, and I was side hilling on the correct side to have my left foot on the peg, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I finished the prologue in, I think it was just under an hour, which was a lot better time than I had last year. So
Yeah.
very happy with that. Ended up hiking back later that evening and found my foot peg, and my spring was sitting right next to it. So I should
Seriously?
have bought a lotto ticket. Yeah, so found my peg, which was awesome. And yeah, so prologue went really well.
Mm-hmm.
I had Mike from the shop help me like service the bike, get new tires on, do all this stuff which I'm accustomed to doing myself.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
got like, I was in the pro pits. I had someone help work on my bike, and it was just that whole experience in and of itself was really cool. Um, and then yeah, the main race went well. I had a good start. I was actually bar to bar with Grayson, right next to him
Yeah.
at the start, so that was fun. We were razzing each other a little bit at the start line. Uh, and yeah, I had a good start and just tried to focus on riding smooth and understanding that it's a long day, and not
Mm-hmm.
to, not to gas myself, in the first lap. And so, yeah, I had a couple sort of spectacular get offs and loop outs, but no big mechanical issues on the bike. Just tried to run a smooth and consistent race, and ended up sixth in B class, which
That's
I'm really
awesome.
proud of. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and so that's a fifth place and a sixth place finish in B class so far this year. Um,
That's awesome, dude.
yeah, thank you. No big injuries, no huge, nothing big breaking on the bike, and so it was
Yeah.
yeah, it was a really good weekend. It was hard. It's like each race that I do is like the next hardest thing I've done on a dirt bike. I'll like push myself a little bit harder than I did the last race, and yeah,
Yeah.
no different. So yeah, finished, did all 3 laps in a little under, it was like 5 hours and 40 minutes. And yeah, I was really happy with how everything went. Grayson actually ended up beating me in the prologue by 1 second. So his time was 1 second faster than mine. And he was talking a little bit of smack the night before. And I ended up coming back, and I had him by about 15 minutes on the main race. And so, yeah, I don't think
Nice.
I let him live that one down, but it was cool. We saw each other a bunch during the race, and our other friend Robert was cool to like leapfrog and hang out with friends during the race, but still, get to be competitive. So yeah,
I thought you
it
were
was a
gonna
cool
say still
experience.
beat them.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was cool. Moab it's an awesome race, and for it being only the second year they've done it, it's super
Hmm.
well run.
Yeah.
I was impressed the first year at just how smooth everything went. They had, Joe and Mesa had it dialed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to going back again. It's kind of the closest. It's the closest hard enduro. I'm outside of Denver, just a little ways, and
Mhm.
it's the closest USHE race to home. And so it's like it ends up being a bunch of Coloradans out there walking through camp, and like half the people there are from our backyard. So yeah, it was really
That's
cool.
cool.
So
Yeah, it was pretty close because I know that Grayson's talked about going and riding out in that area.
mhm.
Because you guys, I don't know if you went with him when he did 5 miles of hell and all of that.
I did not. I've
Um,
still never done 5 miles of hell.
oh, really? My
Yeah.
friend went to go do it today and she texted me and she sent me a picture rather, and she's like, it's freaking snowing. And she's like, so we're not gonna go do it.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's
it's
supposed to look like
snowing?
wintertime here for the next couple days. Isn't that time of year?
Really?
Yeah, yeah, it's supposed to snow like tomorrow. So Colorado weather, you
That's
can't decide what
100%
wants to
my
do.
fear is that I'm gonna be driving. I have to go through Oklahoma, and
Mm,
Oklahoma is notorious for having, like, the worst weather ever. I used to live there, so I could say this.
okay.
It is the most bipolar weather I've ever seen in my entire life,
Hmm.
and I've lived in a lot of places in this country, and Oklahoma by far is the worst. It has been like blizzard in the morning and then a tornado warning at night. And I'm
Jeez.
like, what just happened?
That
So,
sounds
because of the time of the year that it is, uh, I am almost 100% sure that there will be a tornado warning when I go through Oklahoma because that's just my luck. So, I'm not
well,
excited.
Godspeed
Or
and
it'll be a
fast.
blizzard.
Or a blizzard.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that sounds yeah, Colorado sounds pretty mild
Uh-huh.
compared to that.
Colorado has a lot of snow, but it's like it's not as cold as like I used to live in the Midwest. So I lived in
Yeah,
Minnesota and in North Dakota, and it would be like absolutely ridiculously cold. But I had a friend in Colorado Springs, and he's like, "Oh, it's like 30 degrees. It's snowing." It's like it snowed like 5 feet, but you know, it's
yeah.
30 degrees, and I'm like, it's
It's
negative
home and
60.
mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I can handle the snow. I just can't handle the cold, like that cold. Like it's insane.
Yeah. And was it humid in the Midwest there where you lived?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's the key
Very.
right there. There's
Uh-huh.
even spots in Colorado. I went to school in Gunnison,
Mhm.
which is incredibly cold. I mean, it's one of the coldest campuses in the continental US, but it's dry, super dry. And so it can be negative 20 out in the morning when you walk into class in February, but there's no humidity. And so it
Mhm.
definitely is um, yeah, from what I hear, I've never lived somewhere humid. Thank goodness. I don't think I could handle the humidity. But yeah, mad respect for people that deal with humid cold.
Yeah. Yeah, humid cold is very different from humid hot. Humid hot is my least favorite thing in the world. Um,
Can't handle that
I
either.
can't. Yeah, I lived on the East Coast, and the Northeast honestly was the worst. Maine is on my list forever. I loved it. I loved the place. I loved the terrain. It was very fun. I liked where I worked even, but that humidity, oh my god. It was like 90 degrees because it was like their hottest summer on record or something like that. And then it was like 90% humidity.
Oh
I
my
was
god,
like, I can't do this.
it sounds so miserable.
It was terrible, and I was, like, training because I was training for an ultra marathon, so I
Mm.
was, like, trying to get out and run 4 to 5 times a week, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die. I'm totally gonna die."
Got to kill the motivation to get outside and run.
Yep, yep. So I learned that you can actually get your body used to humid heat in very small doses. So you
Mm,
have to do like 20 minutes at a time, and then you have to hydrate like crazy, and
sure.
then 20 more minutes, and then hydrate like crazy, and it really helps you get used to it. It's still hot, it's still miserable, but I was able to do it because I knew I was going to have to be running the ultra in that kind of weather. So because it was going to be in Tennessee
Mm,
in September, so it could have been hot, could have been cold. Um, so yeah, I was just trying to be as prepared as possible, but then the hurricane ended up happening, and so we didn't have the ultra. But was running enough for it. So I knew that I was going to be able to run. I think the ultra was supposed to be like 32.5 miles or something like that. And I was running 34. So
For you.
yeah,
A lot of respect.
yeah, it was crazy.
I
But
know you can
that
run this.
training, that training was alongside my bike work.
Mm,
And so, like, for me, it was kind of like dual training because it was like really getting my mindset right. And I know that I can push and I know that I can do really hard stuff like run a bazillion miles. No one wants to do that, but I had to find out like little tricks to keep myself going and keep myself pushing. And that has turned around and helped me when I'm on the bike and I'm in terrain that I shouldn't be in because of my skill level. But my friends want to see me succeed in my goals, and either that or they really don't like me or they really my friends because they take me into some gnarly stuff. But I like to think they're helping.
it could be a little bit of both.
Probably a little bit
We
of both,
we do the
knowing
same
them.
thing with our friends, and we all drag each other into stuff that like maybe we shouldn't be doing this, but if I'm gonna do it, you're the people I want to do it with. So
Yeah, yeah. I have this really weird habit of finding people who are a lot better than me, and that's
mm,
who I end up riding with. So, ever since I like left the Midwest, I've been riding with people who are just insanely better than me, like A riders and up. And it's just like I don't know how this keeps happening, but they like adopt me in and they're like, "Hey, let's go ride." And I'm like, "Are you sure you want to ride with me?" Like I
it's
think it's
good though. That's
entertaining.
just gonna keep pushing your progression, continuing to be, ride with people that are, you know,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
that are
yeah.
good. You get to watch their lines, watch what they're doing, just rise
Yeah.
to the occasion and get it done.
I've learned a lot, especially since coming out west. The terrain out here is just so crazy. Like, it's insane. Some of it's like riding on marbles, and some of it is just like, I don't even understand how I'm going up this rock right now, but I am, and it's just like it's not even a rock, it's like a slab.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's insane. But it's really fun, and I'm really lucky that I've gotten to ride in 16 states so far.
it's
And
awesome.
so I've seen a lot of varied terrain. And it's incredible. The places you can go on a dirt bike are
Oh, it's so
amazing.
cool. Isn't it
Yeah.
great?
I wanna come out to Colorado because all the stuff that Gray posts, I'm like, yeah, I wanna go there." I don't know if I have the skill to get to some of those spots, but oh my god, the views.
You can get
Oh,
there. Yeah,
they're gorgeous.
we get spoiled. It's yeah, you put it perfectly. The variety of terrain out, I mean, in Colorado, but also in just the Western US is nuts. I mean,
Yeah.
you look like you're riding on different planets. And
Mhm.
yeah, but Colorado, we're definitely spoiled with some of the views that you can get once you get up into the high Rockies and can see forever. And yeah, it just feels like you're on top of the world. It's pretty special.
That's what it looks like, definitely. That's so cool. Alright, I'm gonna pause the conversation before we go any
Right?
further, and we're gonna rewind.
Okay.
So, how did you get into riding in the first place?
Um, that's a I'll have to go a ways back. That one, so I haven't ridden motorcycles for very long.
Mhm,
I got my first bike. It was for my fifth birthday.
mhm.
My uncle and grandfather bought it for me, kind of against my mom's wishes. And I
Never a good thing.
I know. So they that whole side of my family raced and rode, and it was a huge part of their life for a very long time. So my mom
Mhm,
growing up, my grandpa and my uncle, they'd whole family be out at the track every Sunday to watch my uncle race. And
mhm,
it was a huge part of their life. And I think once my mom moved out and kind of started a life of her own, that was something that she wasn't super interested in being a part of anymore.
mhm.
And yeah, but my so fifth birthday, I got a little, it was a Honda 50. Um, and my mom was not super excited about it. She didn't have a truck to haul it. She didn't have, it was tough to find the time and the energy to take me places to go ride.
Mm-hmm.
We were lucky to have a pretty big backyard. We were living in
Yeah.
the suburbs in Littleton at the time, and had a pretty big backyard. And so I had training wheels on it, and I need to track down a picture of it just to refresh my memory. But had training wheels on it. I'd go ride around the backyard. I only had that bike for about a year, and then we got rid of it. Not my decision, parents' decision. And yeah, it was just kind of decided that riding dirt bikes wasn't going to be for me. And so I went the team sports route, going through, my childhood, elementary, middle school, high school, played football, played lacrosse, baseball. But it always, every Christmas, at the top of the Christmas list that I would make every year, dirt bike. Every year,
Yeah.
I had that. I always wanted to be on a dirt bike. I continued to. My uncle actually raced some arena cross and motocross, and then he was kind of at the forefront of the freestyle motocross
Oh,
kind of thing in like the early 2000s.
yeah.
And so he would travel and compete. He was a pro freestyle rider, and I would go to
Wow.
his competitions, and man, I wanted nothing more than just like to be in that community and like to be with all these dudes that are riding dirt bikes and like that. I just wanted to be a part of it so bad, and it just
Yeah.
wasn't really in the cards. So my grandparents who live south of Denver they had a little like a woods track, and and at one point they bought a TTR 125, and so I would go out there, and on like Easter we'd go out there, and I'd go for an hour or two in the morning and go ride around, or a few times during the summer I'd go out there and just spend a little time on the bike, and I loved it. I would like narrate in my head there's a race going on. I was just like, oh, I was so stoked every time I got to go be on that bike. Ended up playing. It was never really like something I spent a whole lot of time doing. Ended up playing football and lacrosse in high school. Moving into college, played lacrosse in college, and that was kind of my focus as far as like sports and athletics is concerned. And then after college, kind of in grad school, and after grad school, I started getting more into the outdoors and riding. Like I said, I was in Gunnison, and so I got a mountain bike, and started mountain biking a bunch, started skiing a bunch, and shifted from the team sports thing to kind of the outdoor thing, and fell in love with it, and just absolutely loved being in the woods, being out in nature, getting to go explore, getting to go navigate and find new trails and new places to ski. And then, after being a ski bum for a little while, living in the mountains, I was 30, and I contacted my grandpa and bought his dirt bike from him, and was just like, it's time. I need to have my own bike, and I want to ride. And so, I bought it was a 2006 YZ 450. And that was my first bike that I had ever purchased myself.
Oh my God.
Maybe not the best beginner bike. And I was living.
I mean, you're tall, so it works.
Not that tall. Tall. Okay. Considering, comparatively, I've got a little height on you. But it was not. I was living up in the mountains in Silver Plume, Colorado, up in the hills, and had that bike, and was trying to ride that as a trail bike, and is definitely not the right fit. But I made it work. I bought some cheap gear and got kitted out, and had a bike for, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 months. Did a little bit of riding, and then a buddy of mine got in touch with me. He's like, dude, we should race. It's like, why would we race? Race like mountain bikes? He's like, no, and dirt bikes, dude. We should do enduros. It's like, that's a terrible idea. But lo and behold, a few months later, we're signed up for an RMEC race here in Colorado. So I was 31 years old. First time I raced a dirt bike. And that's how I got started. So
that's awesome. I was 32 the first time I did a race. So
nice. Late
Yeah,
bloomers. It's all good.
yeah, exactly. I did an enduro on my TTR.
Yeah,
I did not do well. I I'm pretty sure I DNF'd in like the second section.
but you got out and you did it. You got after it.
Oh,
Like
yeah. Yeah,
that's
I
what
was
matters.
terrified, but, I did that one, and then I did a Graham Jarvis clinic, and the next day, they were doing another enduro, and he was actually gonna be racing it, and so I was like, "Well, I know I'm not gonna finish, but, like, who else gets to say that they were in the same race as Graham
Same race
Jarvis?"
as
So,
Jarvis. That's so cool.
yeah. So, I definitely like he was, like, the first person off the line, and I was in, like, row 30 something, but still, I
Still,
was still in the same race.
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
I still get starstruck
so
when we get to line up and there's like it's Cody and Tristan and Ryder and all the pro guys on the front line all go video. Like it's super cool though. Yeah. To still just be
they're
doing the same race, riding the same terrain as those guys. It's awesome.
yeah, they're super nice guys, but I totally get it because, like, I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with those guys, well, some of them I just started talking to, but, um, they're super great, but at the same time I was, like, freaking out because I didn't know that Battle of the Goats was changing the format this year. So I thought we were all gonna be racing the same course, and I was like I told a couple of them, I'm like, if you see me, try not to run me over, okay?" Like but, like, it's intimidating, but at the same time, it's really cool to be able to line up and do the same race that they're doing. Um, but for this being my first hard enduro, I'm a little bit happy that, they're not gonna be racing at the same time. 'Cause I don't wanna get run over, and also, I do wanna be able to watch them, so
Right.
I think it's pretty cool. I know it's probably a lot more work for Tyler and his crew out at Brushy, but, I think it's really, really cool to see that change, so
For sure. I think I do like that a lot of the events have and I don't, it feels like they're putting a little bit more emphasis on spectating and making,
Mhm.
adding sections or like at Moab they did that short course. Super
Yeah.
cool to be able to actually go watch those guys in their element doing big moves like
Yeah.
in this cool little arena where it's so easy to walk around and watch and to be able to see
Mhm.
them ride and not just watch them start and then not see them the whole rest of the weekend. So it's sweet that they
Yeah.
have these events where you can race, but then also see the big boys doing big boy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, all the craziness that they do. I think it's really cool. I missed that portion, but I thought I saw the video and it was awesome. I was like, "Dang, man, why did I have to work?"
No, sounds like you had a busy, yeah, you had a
Oh,
busy weekend out there.
it was very busy. But it was fun. I wouldn't change it, I was there for 1 day, but it was worth it 100%. I got to see so many of my friends and so many people do really cool things, and I love being able to see people come through on those awesome sections that I get put into and
Yeah,
just see people and cheer them on, and it's always fun.
I'm sure. I like seeing you and hollering at you.
Yeah. It's so fun. I there's a lot of people that are starting to recognize me, and I don't know who everybody is, right? Like I know, like, if we've interacted or whatever, I know you, but um people are starting to know me from the podcast and they know who I am, but I have no clue who they are. Or I've maybe talked to them on Instagram, but I don't know what your bike looks like.
Sure.
So I have people who are literally like on course yelling, "Hey bike angel," and I'm like,
Like,
"Hi."
I don't know who you are, but
I
click,
don't
click,
know
click,
who
click.
that was, but so I keep like I've been going back, I'm like looking at the pictures and I'm like looking at the stuff and I'm like looking their numbers up to see who it was. I'm like, I don't know who that was, but
Uh,
but it's cool. I never thought I'd get recognized. So like other than by my friends,
sure.
Um but it was really cool. Like the first time you recognized me, I was like, "Whoa."
Oh, what? Yeah. No,
Like it was funny.
it's a
Cuz to me,
surprisingly. Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say it's a surprisingly small world that
Mhm.
like you see, if you're involved in this style of racing, like it's a lot of the same people you see at Grinding
Yeah.
Stone. You see them 3 weeks later in Moab. It's,
Yep.
the same folks that you see riding that kind of terrain at home, and that, you follow on Instagram and see in your videos that, friends of friends took. It's like, it's not you think about it, it's not that many different people involved in
Hmm.
this niche
Yeah.
sport. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's but
Yeah.
it is cool that you're getting some recognition. It's awesome.
It's just strange. I've never been that kind of person who's been like recognized. I've always been super introverted. And
Mm,
the only reason I'm as extroverted as I am is because of dirt bikes. Like I don't I I don't consider myself super social or anything. But I am at these events because like who's not excited to talk about dirt bikes and like to hear about
yeah.
like how the race went and stuff like that. Like that gets me excited. So that's the only reason I talk. Otherwise, like at King of the Motos, like I was in camp with a bunch of people and I had just met all of these guys because that was my first West Coast race and I had been East Coast based last year. So I didn't know hardly anybody on the West Coast. And
Right.
so I'm in camp with these guys who I talked to on Instagram, and I was like, I don't really know these people, but like, at least I kind of know them. So I'm sitting there and they're like, "Why are you so quiet?" And I was like, "This is honestly just how I am." Like they're like, "But you do a podcast." I'm like, "Yeah, but when I'm
Different.
not doing the podcast, like I'm very quiet. I like to watch people and I like to listen to people
Mm,
and like just kind of see people in their element and just observe. Like that's kind of always been my thing. Um it takes a lot to get me to be like really extroverted, but like I said, like right after a race when everyone's excited and everyone wants to talk about it, I'm like, "Okay, tell me."
there
Like
you go.
then I get all excited with it, but
Very cool.
um yeah. So, all right, rewind a little bit. How did you get into hard enduro? So you started racing enduros. We went off on a tangent, so
It's all
sorry.
good. Tangents are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first race that I did was and I guess I misspoke earlier. It was a Corks race, so Colorado Off-Road Championship Series.
Okay.
It's a local series that's in kind of the Denver, Colorado Springs area.
Mhm.
Um, it's kind of like the work style racing, so it's off-road, some natural terrain, some track terrain. It's kind of toned down like vet course, like not huge jumps, but um, more endurance. They're like hour 20 or 2 hour races.
Okay.
And so I had started doing the first season. I did like 2 or 3 of those on that YZ450, and got kind of hooked. And there was like the last race of that season that I did. I was racing C class, so
Mhm.
bottom of the barrel. Um, but had like a fifth place finish at one of the races. It was like, oh, I might have a knack for this. Like, this is really cool. And was
Yeah.
riding more, spending some more time doing it. Um, and yeah, I actually that fall, I had been doing a lot more training. I live pretty near to Thunder Valley,
Mhm.
which I don't know if you follow the AMA National, but it's like the AMA National Motocross venue that's
Mhm.
in Lakewood, Colorado, right on the side of the mountain
Yeah.
there. So that's kind of like the closest place for me to go ride track. And I was riding with my buddy that got me into racing and everything. I came up short on a triple and broke both my ankles at the same time.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And I didn't come off the bike. As soon as I took off, I knew like, wow, this is not enough speed to clear this. There's a jump that I'd cleared 15, 20 times before. And yeah, it came up like 6 feet short, hit the knuckle and hyperextended both ankles. Stayed on the bike and
Oh.
went back to the truck. And luckily my buddy was at the truck. I got back there and I was like, dude, I need you to hold my bike. And he was joking around. He's like, what? It's like, dude, I hold my bike or I'm going to fall over. And
Yeah.
he put me off the bike, helped me get my boots off, went into had to call, had to call my wife and tell her, babe, um, I'm going to need you to come pick me up at the track. I think I'm hurt. Um,
I think I'm hurt.
hurt pretty bad. Went into the urgent care and they did some x-rays and stuff. And yeah, I had fractures was they only found fractures in my right ankle, and but I couldn't walk. They were both swollen to the size of grapefruits and starting to get green and
Oh
pink
my.
and purple, and um, they did X-rays and only found fractures in the right ankle. They brought me out a walking boot and a set of crutches, and they're like, we'll have to get you to a specialist, but here you go. I was like, I have two messed up feet. I can't use crutches. Like, what do you expect me
Yeah.
to do with this?
Gotta
And I
like
was, well,
balance and
I
hobble.
don't know. And so they put another boot on the other ankle and wheeled me out in a wheelchair. And my my father-in-law had to like carry me into their house because this is when we were still living in the mountains. And so we ended up I stayed at my in-laws for like a month.
Uh-huh.
I was on the couch, couldn't do anything. Um,
Oh my
but
god.
I tell you what, I had broken ankles for about 12 hours before I was shopping for a new bike. I was bound and determined to get back on and get better. So, but yeah, the following spring, I had a new bike that was
Mhm.
modern, that wasn't 15 years old, and clapped and kind of inappropriate for the riding that I was doing.
Mhm.
Um, and that following season, I committed to racing a full cork season. And then I did a couple of the RMEC races, which are the Rocky Mountain Enduro Circuit. It's a little more like a traditional enduro, like a reliability enduro where you're out in the woods on single track with individual time tests. Um,
Mhm.
and so, but the first corks race of that season, I was down in Aguilar, I had a flat tire, and the guy that was parked next to us came over and he helped me fix my flat and get back out and continue and finish all the tests and everything. I was talking with talking with him a little bit and found out he was from Rye, and they usually ride some of the harder stuff down in that area. Didn't think
Mhm.
much of it, and ended up winning that event in C class, first race of the season. And come to find out, that was Grayson's uncle, or his cousin
Oh,
Robert.
really?
And so ended up kind of connecting with Grayson and finding that out. And now we joke that Robert helped me beat Gray in um, but yeah, did that whole season of Corks races and did really well and ended up winning C class my
Mhm.
first full season, and they bumped me up to B. Um, the and that year I kind of started getting into riding a little bit more of the natural terrain and the single track in the woods, the stuff that I really like to ride on a mountain bike.
Yeah.
Same kind of chunky, gnarly stuff. Um, and then the following season did another season with corks, and that was when I got hooked up with Motorsport Masters and got on a Sherco
Mhm.
and kind of got exposed a little bit more to the harder terrain, and I was riding with Grayson a little bit at that point, and he was like, dude, we're gonna do Silver Kings next year and you should do it. And I was like, dude, I don't know if it was like, I don't know if I'm going to be good enough. I was
Mhm.
really timid because I was still super new
Yeah.
to dirt bikes, and
Yeah.
yeah, started riding with him a little bit more and exploring on the bike a little bit and realizing that being by myself in the woods riding scary stuff was like my favorite. I absolutely loved it. I found it so peaceful, and
Mhm.
that was yeah, that's what spoke to me as far as like the type of riding I wanted to do. So
Mhm.
last year I had signed up for Silver Kings, but then Gray said he was going to go to Moab, and I was like, all right, I'll go to Moab. We'll do it. That'll be my first hard enduro, and
Yeah.
a lot of question marks. I had no idea what to expect. I was kind of riding some terrain that I thought was similar, and ended up going and just having a freaking blast. And
Yeah.
the other thing that I loved about the hard enduro was the people there. There's different types of people at all these different types of races, and
Mhm.
yeah, when I was at Moab, just hanging out with everyone, I realized like, oh, this is cool. This is like, we're all people that want to help each other. They want to go out and do these super borderline dumb, hard sufferfest and like go help each other through it and just kick back and laugh about it at the end of the day. And those are my people. And
Yes.
yeah, and since then just I've actually been moving away from the track, and I still like the single track and fast woods riding, but I've been kind of moving away from the track stuff ever since I hurt my ankles, and just been embracing the, being in the woods and up in the mountains, and trying to push myself to do harder and gnarlier things on a bike. So yeah, that's kind of, I don't know, roundabout way to tell you how I got into hard enduro.
No, I love it. I love that you touched on the community. Like, we always talk about that. Like, I think every single episode we've talked about how great the community is around hard enduro, because it's just absolutely incredible. And I think it's because even the people who don't ride, even like the families, they see the stuff that people go through. And, like, you've got to have respect for everybody. It doesn't matter if they're good at it. It doesn't matter if they're struggling through sections. They're still out there doing it. And that takes a lot to just line up and actually do it. So, like, I think that everybody in the community has respect for each other, and especially as racers. I mean, you have one or two bad eggs every once in a while, but for the most part, it's people who are struggling through the same thing you are, like you said. And it's just, you have to have respect for people, because you can't fake it. You can't just be like, I mean, you could say all you want, oh, I'm going out and I'm training, but if you get to that point and you have no skills at all, everyone's going to know that you weren't telling the truth.
For sure.
It's just like, I think Matt Adams is the one who said, like, it's, your skill's going to come out, and like, the woods don't lie. Like,
Yeah,
it's all gonna come out. And so
for sure. It's like
I think,
it's like an honesty check. It's like, there's no way to fake this. It's like, you
yeah,
worked as hard as you
exactly.
worked, and you trained as hard as you trained, and like that's all there is. It's
Yeah.
super, it's just a super honest, I don't know, way to, I don't know. It is very
And
cool. I hadn't thought about it that way.
yeah, I think that, like, you see how good people can be, right? Like Tristan Hart, Cody Webb. Look at all the time and energy they've put into that. Like, they have pushed really hard to be at the level that they're at. Every single person, like, who's moved up, period. Doesn't matter if they move from C to B. It doesn't matter if they're just starting, because they maybe were just starting riding, a few months ago, and now they're doing their first race. Like, that's all moving up. And I think everybody respects that, because everybody has been at that bottom level. So I like
sure.
that. And like you said, one of my favorite things is watching people help each other through the toughest sections. Like, that to me has always been something that stood out about hard enduro. That was something I saw when I was watching Erzberg, 10 years ago. And you don't see that in other disciplines. So
Definitely.
I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's like this balance between, you want to go out and be competitive, but at the end of the day, like, if you can't make it up a section and you're not willing to help each other out, like, you can all sit at the bottom of the hill and get nowhere. But
Yeah.
It's very cool that there's this extra fold of like, well, we got to help each other out so that we can all continue this challenge where we're competing against each other, but want to see each other succeed. So
Yeah,
really,
exactly.
very unique.
And not to steal a spotlight or anything, but the women at Moab were absolutely amazing at doing that. I saw the women helping each other and just kind of like riding. They're fairly similar skill set, so they were riding kind of together and
Sure.
helping each other through those harder sections. And I thought that that was really cool too. Um, it's hard enduro is the best. I absolutely loved it when I found it last year. I mean, I found hard enduro like 10 years ago, but I didn't find the US hard enduro until last year, and didn't become part of the community until Battle of the Goats last year. And when I saw all of it, it's like a big family, right? Like you said, you see the same people over and over and over again, and you get to know them, and all of a sudden you're asking about their family. Hey, how's grandma doing? And all of this stuff, and I think that that's really awesome, and that's what I experienced last year on the East Coast. And when I came west, I was like, ooh, I'm really nervous. I don't really know anybody. Like, is it going to be the same? Like, and then it was just as good as being east. And, like I said, I had talked to some of these guys on Instagram, and, I was just still a little nervous, but then it was just so easy, so awesome, because we all have dirt bikes in common. We all have a love for ridiculousness because we're all the same kind of crazy.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, it's wild getting, like you said, the same kind of crazy. You get 250, 300 of those people in the same spot. Like it's wild to be with so many like-minded people that are into the same weird, scary, dumb thing.
So many
It's
people
very
who
cool.
should probably be institutionalized all together in one spot.
A bunch of lunatics out there on dirt bikes. It's fun.
I'm not gonna lie, I got to Moab, and we dropped in to do media. So we dropped in off of this first hill, and I was like looking at this section, and I was like, whoa.
I know the section. So as soon as you leave the start, like that first ledge, is that the
Yeah.
one you're talking
Yep,
about?
where I was
Yeah,
in the very beginning. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But I was like, I had to hike into that area, and I was like,
Mhm.
"What? They have to come down that, and then
Like,
they have to go up that?" I was like,
yeah,
"Wow. Wow." The amount of exposure on the West Coast is just absolutely insane. I think that's what gets me more than anything else. Because like I said, I had my fall, and so exposure scares me. But exposure before I fell it was just like it's mind blowing. You can see forever, and you
yeah,
can see the fall. In
right.
the East Coast, you have falls like that. They're there. It's just there's trees everywhere, so you can't
Sure.
really see it.
You can't see that
And
far.
yeah, it, it almost feels like the trees are protecting you, because I know that if I start to fall down the mountain, I'm probably gonna hit a tree, which
Sure.
sounds absolutely terrible, but like I
Best case
I
scenario,
have not yet been hurt by a tree, okay?
right?
So yeah, it's just different. I don't know. I was talking to somebody about it earlier, and I was like, he's like, I feel like if you can ride East Coast, you can ride anything West Coast. And I was like, not really, because you
Different.
get these sections. Yes, the rocks have a lot of grip out here, but
Mm,
only some of them, because then you get some of these rocks and they look like they're going to have a lot of grip. They look exactly the same, but then they've got dirt on them, and then they're super slippery. And it's
very
like, or
slippery.
there's a sand section leading up to this rock or this slab, and the slab or rock wouldn't be that bad, but now you have to try and get momentum in sand, which I am still working on. I am
Mm,
terrible in sand. And so it's like now all of a sudden I'm hitting this at like a third of a mile an hour, and I can't get up it. So just digging myself a hole at the bottom of a rock.
it
So,
happens. It happens to everybody. It happens to all of
oh
us.
my god. I was just the boys took me to this section in California, and I seriously I was getting so annoyed with myself. I was like, I know better. I know how to get up this. Like, what is wrong with me? And it was just the the dirt was so loose, and
Mm,
I just had no traction. I was just spinning my rear tire, and I was like, stop, you're digging a hole, you're making it worse. And sure enough, I did. I made it so much worse. Because I was trying, I even went back and I tried it again, and I don't have the skill for that section. I really don't. Um, my
it's just
buddy got
room
on my
for
bike.
progress. That's all
Oh
it
my
is.
god, yeah. My buddy got on my bike, and he's really good. And it took him like a couple tries. He just tried a couple things, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you can get up this." And he goes, "But you're gonna have to really zap it." And he showed me, and then I was like, "Yeah, I don't know if I can do that." And then he put the bike back, and he's like, "All right, go for it." I was like, "I think I'm done."
Uh, all part of the
I
learning
was just
process.
like, it is, like, bless him, he's a saint because he has so much patience with me, and he does stuff like that, like, he'll show me stuff or he'll tell me how to do something, and if I can't do it, I told him, I was like, "Look, I'm not trying to purposely ignore what you're saying. I'm really not." I was like, I hear what you're saying, it makes sense, but my body doesn't understand how to do what my mind is saying in
Mm.
that exact moment." I was like, that's like a I need to work up to it thing. I'm really trying. And thankfully he doesn't take it personally because I do know that there are some people out there who are like, "Why didn't you do what I said?" And it's I like I don't know
Oh,
how.
no,
Like,
no.
I'm trying. But yeah,
Sounds like
the group.
sounds like a good guy to have that's patient. It sounds like
Oh
he's a
yeah.
good team.
Yeah, I've actually got, like, an entire group in California that's like that. It's, like,
Nice.
5 or 6 guys, and they're all like that. They let me struggle, but they're there, like, if I get in over my head, they're there, like, in a heartbeat.
I
Like,
love
they're super, super awesome, and they're all really great at being patient and coaching me through stuff, and, like, when I get into my head in those exposure situations, they're, like, really, really good about getting me back out or, like, making me focus so I can just, like, not freak out as bad. I'm still freaking out, and, like, but not as bad, and it's getting better. Um, but they really challenge me, and but I trust them, and I know that they're not gonna take me into something that's, like, truly, like, dangerous.
a dangerous
Like,
situation for sure.
yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, they did take me on a spine the first time we all rode together. Like, I was riding the spine going, "Oh my god, please don't fall. Oh my god, please don't fall." I was freaking out the whole time, but they handled it super well and, like, they did great. Like, they coached me through every section, and when I was, like, a little bit too in my head, my buddy was like, "Okay, just follow my line." He's like, "Just go where I go." And he's, like, insanely good. So for him to pick the baby lines like, that was really cool. Like, you know, I again just goes back to the patience, but this hard enduro community is just absolutely incredible. There are so many people like that who are willing to help new riders. And, you know, I think it really, like, elevates the whole sport because you're bringing in new riders, you're helping them level up, you're probably reinforcing what you already know, but sometimes, like, as you're explaining it, it really clicks for you and you're like, "Oh, yeah, okay. Alright, that really makes sense," and then or maybe somebody does something different and you never thought about trying it like that, so now you're gonna try it. So I think it's just, like, riding with people of different skill levels will always challenge you in one way or another. So I think it's really important if you have the patience to do it.
If
If
you
you
have the
don't have
pick.
the patience, don't do it.
No, that's a good point. I think that yeah, definitely one of the best ways to learn something, the ins and outs of something thoroughly is to teach it to somebody. Makes you think
Yes.
about it
Mhm.
differently. Trying to
Mhm.
explain to somebody that might think differently than you do. I think that's a
Yes.
great way to learn.
Yeah.
And be yeah, he'll help you understand things much
Mhm.
much more deeply.
Yeah, and, like, I felt kinda bad, my buddy Reagan was like, "Just put your foot down on the left," and I was like, "Reagan, I cannot put my foot down." Like, my foot doesn't reach. And he's
There's
like, "You don't
nothing
have to get
there.
mad at me." And I was like, "I'm not mad, I'm just like, I'm trying to do this safely, like, I'm trying to get through this section, like, I know I can do this." So, I was like, "I'm not mad at you, I'm frustrated with myself, and I'm just trying to not throw myself off the edge of this cliff right now."
Mhm.
But just putting my foot down is not an option. I'm 5 feet tall, he's 6'1". Like, there's a lot of stuff that he can
Different
just
level
put
of
his feet
capabilities there.
down. Yeah, and, my other friend Cody is shorter. I still think he's tall, but he's shorter than 6 feet. I think he's 5'7", 5'8", and, so, like, when he tells me stuff, he kinda, like, already knows, like, what it's like to be shorter.
Sure.
So, he's like, "Alright, try this, try that," and I'm like, "Okay," and, like, it just I don't know, it makes a lot more sense to me, but he can touch in spots that I definitely can't.
Right.
So, it's still like my other buddy told me, he's like, dude, I can't believe you're doing hard enduro. He goes, you as this like tiny pocket sized person, he's like, you just like, it's super hard enduro for you because you can't even touch the ground, period. And
Yeah.
then now you're trying to add in rocks and pivot turns and all this stuff. He's like, that's insane. Because you're crazy. I was like, yeah, a little bit.
Everybody that's into this sport is just at least just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's what I've wanted to do for a really long time. I mean, even before I had a bike.
Mm.
So I I'm not going to let my size keep me from it. Yeah, maybe it'll keep me from doing some things because some things will be dangerous, but at this point, like I haven't run into that yet. So like I'm just going to keep pushing and keep trying, and literally if I can do it, anyone can. So
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something that I really like about this sport is there's not a perfect, like, yeah, there's advantages to being as tall as Cody and Quinn and having really long legs and being able to just like let the bike hang out under you
Mhm.
while you put your feet up on stuff. But by that same token, like there's pro guys that are, Danny Lewis is not a very, he's not
Mhm.
a very tall guy. Dude
Yeah.
rips. He's out
Yes.
amazing. And so yeah, there's not like, it's not like, oh, if you're not 6'2", you can't be good at this sport. It's like, no, you just
Yeah.
have to figure out. That was one of the things I loved about lacrosse too. So growing up, I was way undersized to play. I wanted to play
Mhm.
quarterback, and I was a backup quarterback in high school, but I was way undersized. I was tiny, itty bitty little
Mhm.
kid. But with the sport of lacrosse, it was great because same thing. There's not like a perfect body type, that a perfect height and weight and
Mhm.
attribute set to be good at that sport. It's like whatever you bring to the table, that makes you kind of unique. You got to figure out where your advantages are and play to those. And I think
Yeah.
same with being on a dirt bike. Like there's some things that maybe are ideal. Being able to touch the ground in spots is ideal, but
Mhm.
you work around it and figure out another way to do things. Great.
Yeah.
So
Do it the way that I'm supposed to do it, right?
the way
Like
you're supposed to do it. Absolutely.
yeah, well, the technique way, right? Technique is to stay on the pegs all the time. And
There you go.
like that would be the ideal world, is to constantly like just do everything and stay on the pegs and have that balance and be able to, do trialsy kind of type things and just, bounce around on the bike and never touch your feet on the ground. That's one day. One
One
day
day.
maybe.
Me too. I don't know if I'll ever get
But
there.
no, I but one of the things that I have had to work on a lot is balance, and
Sure.
static balance is something I still do all the time, and, like, that's huge, considering I can't walk in a straight line, or I didn't used to be able to, like, I had 0 balance, and so to be able to get to where I am now, it's taken a lot of practice, it's taken a lot, but, of time rather, but I'm doing it. Like I said, if I could be I was the poster child for who should never be on a dirt bike because I was just so clumsy and it just like fell all the time just walking. So, when I got on the bike, it was no different. I was constantly dropping my bike, and I was married at the time. My husband was like, "Can you just stop dropping your bike?" He's like, "I'm sick of picking it up." So it got to the point very quickly where he's like, "You can't go ride unless you can pick up your own bike." And I was like, "Okay." So, but um, you know, it taught me that I had to either learn balance or pick up my bike a lot. And I picked up my bike a lot because at that point I didn't realize there was technique to anything. The guys I was riding with at the time, my husband and his friends, they didn't really show me any of that. It was kind of, here's the bike, here's your clutch, here's your brake, go. And I was like, "What? What?" I don't get it. But and then I took a clinic, was it like 2.5 years ago? And it was a clinic with Jarvis, and like who better to learn from and who better
Right.
to have tell you that you need to stay on the pegs all the time. And he was the one who said, like, you're gonna have to really modify how you ride. You can't do it like everybody else, but he saw the potential in me and he told me that. He said, "You have a lot of potential with your riding." And he's like, "You can go far." He's "You just need to get off of that blue bike," because I was on the TTR.
I
And
gotcha.
I was like, "Oh, okay." Um, but up until that point, I had no aspirations of being even semi good. And I just wanted to be on my bike. I didn't care. Um, I had this like wild idea that one day I could race and do something like Erzberg, but it was just a dream. And then all of a sudden, here's my hero telling me, "Yeah, you've got potential. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you could do it one day." And I was like, "I
That's kind
cannot ride Erzberg." And he's like, "You could totally do it." He's like, "There's nothing that says you can't do it." And he was just so motivating that day. And he just like planted this seed. And I just like took it and ran with it. And I was like, okay, so then what happens if I dedicate myself for like the next few months and just really, really try and learn how to ride my bike? What happens then? And then that snowballed all the way to where I am now. So
of
it's it's crazy. But that's again going back to community. Graham Jarvis is like he's the top, right? He's the GOAT.
yeah,
And he did not have to sit there after that clinic and tell me these things. He did not have to say this. It does not benefit this man in any way, shape, or form to
yeah,
tell me to, try to sit there to like build up my confidence. That it doesn't matter. Like he got his money. He could have just turned around and gone. But
sure.
he did. He sat there, he talked to me. He talked to me about like what my weaknesses were during the day, and like we had like a serious conversation about it, and it just ended up like it just gave me so much confidence to just try. And I I just think that that's amazing because like what other discipline do you get that where you get the top person to do that for you without paying them extra money to be
Sure.
like, "Oh yeah, tell me good things."
Yeah. No, it's very cool. It's yeah, something that's I think is super unique to our sport.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just speaks more to the quality of the people that are involved.
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool.
And like you said, lining up with like Cody and Tristan, and you can just go after the race or before the race and just go talk to those guys.
Oh,
Like you
yeah,
don't have to pay money, you don't have to like it's not awkward. They want to talk to people. They
sure.
want to like share with people. And I think that that's the biggest thing because I spent a lot of time around supercross and motocross before I got into hard enduro, and it's very different.
Totally. Totally. Like I said, there's different disciplines, different types of
Mhm.
people, and not that
Yeah.
everybody's in one discipline's a bad person, but it just seems like you go to these hard enduro events and like you said, the pros are there and they're cool. They're not like hiding in their trailer hoping nobody talks to them. It's like they're out just walking around and chit chatting and being regular folks. And yeah, it's very cool. It's very different. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. So, we're talking about your racing, and you've raced mostly in Colorado and then Utah. You did Silver Kings.
Did
Um,
here?
did you do Donner?
Nope. I did not do Donner. I will probably not do Donner this year. I would
Okay.
like to. I've got two very young daughters, which makes travel a I don't want to say it's a chore. It
It's
makes it
hard.
a little bit harder.
Harder. Yeah.
And so they're starting. My 3-year-old is starting to do her weekend activities and stuff, and so yeah, I'm kind of picking and choosing which races work with our schedule and
Mhm.
uh, yeah. So no Donner, but I did this year Grinding Stone, Moab. I'll do Silver Kings, and then
Mhm.
I'm hoping to go to TKO in the fall, which would be cool.
Yes. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but
Cool.
yeah. So
So
yeah, never. Oh, go ahead.
outside of that, is there any other races that you would want to do in the
Ooh.
States?
Um, in the States, probably I've I haven't ridden on the East Coast at all, And so I see all
Oh,
these,
you're gonna have fun at TKO.
yeah. And so it's a very similar feeling to what I had before Moab last year. First hard enduro, no idea what to expect. Like there's spots out in Colorado here that we can ride some pretty steep creeks that have water in the spring and early summer. And so it's wet and a little sloppy, but I feel like it's just like a totally different level of lack of traction out.
Yeah.
It just looks so slippery and slimy, and I'd be kind of scared to go try it. But yeah, I think somewhere on the East Coast, I'd like to try some of those races out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think TKO's a really good one for
Yeah.
sure. Last year it was dry and it was very unusual. Usually it rains, but it was dry for a lot of them last year. And so last year, Battle of the Goats was dry, and they said it was the first year that they hadn't had rain in the 12 years that they had been putting it on, or in like the last 12 years or whatever. Yeah, so it was kind of crazy. And so I'm mentally preparing myself that this year Battle of the Goats is probably going to be wet and sloppy, and Brushy Mountain is clay. So
Okay.
it's red clay. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. When it
Yeah.
rains at Brushy, it's a miserable time. But yeah, I've ridden there when it's rained just a little bit, and it was sloppy and terrible, and I cannot imagine the enduro cross section with clay all over your tires.
Man.
Like Tyler, he's the promoter. Tyler will just be cackling in the corner. He was just love that.
Just sitting watching
But
all the.
oh yeah, for sure. But TKO is a really good one. If you could get to Brushy, that one's really good too. I mean, I had fun at all of them last year, but I was just watching. So, but this year I'm doing Battle of the Goats in Brushy, and then I'm doing TKO. I'm also going to be doing Silver Kings, so
Are
I'll be
you?
seeing you.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Have you ridden
Yeah.
up north in like Idaho, Montana, Wyoming area at all?
I've ridden in Wyoming in the not the Bighorn Mountains.
Okay.
Not the Grand Tetons. Yeah, I rode out there on my TTR when I was brand new. It was like the first year that I was riding, and I had like maybe like 4 hours of seat time, and then we went to Wyoming and I thought I was going to die. Um But yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous out there. I haven't ridden that part of Montana. I think I rode in Glendive, Montana. Um, but that's like way east.
Okay.
And then, but I was at Silver Kings last year and I got to watch it, and
Oh,
that
okay.
was
You've at least got
gnarly.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah.
got an idea of what I'm gonna die on. Yes,
It's gonna be good.
it's
What are
insane.
you looking for? What are you anticipating is gonna be the hardest thing about Silver Kings for you?
Um, just the mentality of it. Like, well, probably maybe by Silver Kings I might have more experience with enduro cross stuff. I think
Ah,
that's I hate enduro cross like as part of like so many of these races.
yeah.
Because I haven't had any time to train and stuff like that. Like where do
Sure.
you go to train for that? I've got a couple little logs. They're not even logs, they're telephone poles, but like I don't have any way to take stuff out to where they are and like stake them down so they move. Um,
Right.
which makes it kind of crazy to practice on, but
Hmm.
I do what I can. I practice on rocks. Um, I'm trying, but I'm trying to build an enduro cross course here on the property,
Oh,
but
very
it's kind of hard to find logs in Minnesota or in Arizona. I'm not in Minnesota anymore.
I bet.
And like in Minnesota it's easy. You could just be like, "Hey, anybody have
Right.
extra logs? Like, I'll take them." And
Yeah.
here it's like, "Oh, okay. Well, all these people want these like big trees for different like landscaping and stuff like that, but because there's hardly any trees, it's really hard to find them. So I
Hot
know
commodity.
somebody who yeah, I know somebody who works for the phone company, and they're switching over like a bunch of the lines over to metal poles instead of like wood. So I'm trying to get those out here, but it's not happening as fast as I want it to because it was supposed to happen like last month.
Gotcha.
And they only had one. And they're like, well, we don't want to, because they're going to trailer it out here for me, but they don't want to trailer just one. They want to do a few at a time. So it's like this long process. So maybe by Silver Kings, I'll have some
You'll
practice.
have more than 3 logs to practice on.
Yeah,
Good.
because that stuff is just, I don't know. It's hard. It's really hard.
It
But
is.
I think that's that and like the mentality of like how steep things can be there.
Sure.
That's probably the biggest thing. Granted, now I've been riding in Jawbone Canyon and some of the steepest stuff I've ever done has been there. So that's I guess it's not quite as steep or as long rather, but it's close and it at least gets me some exposure to stuff like that. So that's probably the biggest thing for me. What was it for you? Did you I mean, you kind of went in blind last year, right?
Yeah, and you do. I mean, luckily now there's a lot of people that will do like the GoPro footage of races, and so you can go online
Mhm.
and search, Silver Kings B class and
Yeah.
watch all of last year's race. Granted, the GoPro effect is real, and some of it you're like, oh, this looks easy. And you're like, wow, this is not easy. um,
Yeah.
but I think for me the hardest part was like the long open sustained hill climbs. That was my week.
Mm.
Like I really like the tight technical and like the steep stuff where you're like tic-tacking up hillsides and through rocks and stuff is great. It was the ski runs where it's this long gradual, but progressively steeper hill climb that if you don't get all the way up it, like you're probably starting over.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like a different kind of loose being in like this open, like in this cut ski run as opposed
Mhm.
to being on like a loose hillside picking your way through trees. So I think that was the hardest part. I think that's the part that I struggled with the most um, at Silver Kings, but yeah, kind of know what to expect this year. They're changing it though. They're going to do like I think it's going to be like a street rhythm course prologue section in town. So
Interesting.
I know you look very excited about,
I'm just like,
but yeah, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think, but a lot of that terrain is kind of similar to the stuff that we'll seek out here in Colorado. And so it,
Mhm.
it transfers the skill transfers pretty closely.
That's good.
Obviously it's all very, it can be very different, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, so Silver Kings was very cool. I think you'll like it. It's a good level. I think it's a really good level of difficulty for like a BC rider.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't think there was anything that we looked at that I was like, I have no idea how you're going to get a bike up this. It's just a matter of committing and working at it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was a very cool race. So, and a
Okay.
cool location too. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It was really awesome. I was like, I wanted to spend more time there. But I was literally only there for the weekend. Me and my quick trips.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I'm excited to try it. I mean, it's honestly like racing is the safest way to explore new terrain like that. Honestly.
Yeah.
Because you know that there's gonna be a medic there. So if you get injured, they're gonna have somebody pretty quick to come and get you.
Mhm.
And somebody's gonna sweep eventually. So
Someone
if you're
who's-
stuck somewhere,
You're,
like
you're going to be there. There's other, like you said, going back to the awesome community involved in the sport,
Yes.
there's people all day long on trail. And
Yes.
so there, there's not everybody's just going to pass you by. There's going to be people that if you are in dire need, people are going to stop and help. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So I think that I kind of have that as my mentality for racing anyway, just because of like what I've seen. So as scared as I am, not scared, but nervous as I am, because I know that there's going to be enduro cross at Brushy. I know that there's a really good community. There's a lot of really good spectating out there. So there's quite a few spectators on course in a lot of areas. So if something happens, they can get help to me, if something were to happen to me. And same thing with Silver Kings. There was quite a few people there, and there was a
Yeah.
lot of people in a lot of the pretty gnarly sections. So I think that it almost feels safe, almost.
Almost as safe as it can be.
As safe as the scariest stuff that you can do is. But it's way safer than when I'm out riding by myself.
Sure.
So, I think that my experience has kind of made it a little different for me. But yeah, I'm still probably gonna get to Silver Kings and be like, "Oh my god," and just kind of giggle.
You're gonna do great.
But it'll be fun. And my
Yeah.
biggest thing is like for my first hard enduro, I want to make one check. Like that's it. That's like if I make it to that, obviously I'm going to push further and I'm going to keep pushing. It would be freaking awesome to finish a lap. Like, I have, a tier of goals. If I make
Sure.
the first goal, go to the next one. But
That's awesome.
really the biggest thing is just to go through, not get hurt, and not completely thrash my bike. Like it's gonna get pretty thrashed, but like as long as it can run afterwards, like I'm gonna be really happy.
Right.
So,
Oh my gosh.
but
Yeah.
I mean I have low standards, but I also have like I'm not really probably ready to do a hard enduro, like skills wise, but there's no way to know until I do it. So
I couldn't
I'm
agree
ready.
more. The same thing that I heard about having kids. It's like there's not going to be this perfect time where you're like, oh, everything, the stars have aligned, and it's like the perfect time to do it. You're just gonna
Yeah.
you're gonna jump in head first, and
Mhm.
you're gonna figure it out, and it's gonna go the way it's gonna go. And
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah, you're never gonna be truly ready. So do it
That's true.
scared till you can do it skilled.
Yes. Oh my god, I love that. I love that. That's great. What made you decide TKO?
Grayson. I kind of want
Yeah.
to.
Is it a good influence or a bad influence? I have
Depends
to
on
decide with him.
If you ask my wife, he's a bad influence. He needs me to do all these races. But no, I in kind of moving away from the like the off-road, the Corks racing and the RMEC, whose their schedule wasn't super didn't align really well with my availability this summer. I was doing fewer races. Last year I did 15 races, which was probably too many. And so I'm toning that down, but I'm trying to kind of space it out and maybe do 4 races that require maybe a little bit more travel, but are, kind of more destinations, but not be racing every single weekend. And like I said, I've heard that it's a great race for amateurs because you get an opportunity to do a couple of races and push yourself to see how well you can do. But then it's also really great for spectating, is what I've heard. So I love that.
Is.
I love being able to finish a race and like go watch the pros. It's a very cool, very, very cool to go do that. So plus Grayson was like, dude, we should carpool. It's like, all right, we can. Yeah. So I've never been to Tennessee. I've never really been to the South. I haven't spent a whole lot of time on the East Coast, period.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go,
I'm
might as well do it on a dirt bike.
Yeah, I love Tennessee. The area, the Trials Training Center. Oh my God, I love that area. It's beautiful. Um, I've ridden kind of around there. I haven't ridden in the Trials Training Center. Uh, but it's so much green. And like I know you're in Colorado and there's a lot of green there, but there's like more green in Tennessee and Georgia. Like it hurt to look at it because there's so much green. I was like, oh my God. And like I said, I lived in the Midwest and like there's a lot of greenery out there, but it's just like layers of green on green
Mm.
on green. So you're like coming up over the mountain and you're like looking out on the valley and it's like, what is this? Like this is insane. There's just mountains of green everywhere. It's really
Lush.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a whole lot of undergrowth in Colorado. It's all like the evergreens are
Oh,
green.
tall tree. Yeah.
Underneath, it's just like dirt and rocks and
Yeah.
into
That's
some creek
true.
beds that have, some kind of lush sections. But yeah, it's pretty dry and arid. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. But you're gonna love it. And like riding at TKO, like I said, I mean, depending on the weather, can be really great. It could be really crazy. We didn't
Nervous.
have a lot of humidity last year, so like, but in Tennessee, when it gets really humid, like it looks like the rocks are sweating,
Mm.
and they get really slick. So, but like you said, you have sections where things are really slick where you are, so you might get some good practice in. So that's good.
You start running like really bald tires during practice or something.
Oh, that's great. Well, if you could pick anywhere in the world to go ride or race, where would you go?
I knew you were going to ask this one, and so I was actually thinking about it. I
You cheated.
I cheated on this exam. I think, and it actually took me a while to think of a place because I don't know. I feel so spoiled to be able to ride where I ride and love what's in my backyard. But I would say I would want to do like a trip to like the Himalayas, like Nepal, somewhere that's like
Oh,
alpine
yeah.
to the max, and
Yeah.
do like like a a big like pack trip, but a hard enduro pack trip. So like go ride and camp places, but then from
Yeah.
your camp, go ride like super gnarly, like 15-20,000 foot. I don't know. I don't know how the bikes would do it 20,000 feet. I have no idea, but that would
Yeah.
be like pie in the sky. Like that would be a dream trip, would be like somewhere way, way up high in the mountains. So,
Yeah, I'm 90% sure that Jarvis Signature Tours has Nepal on the schedule.
yeah,
So I just saying, you should probably look into that
probably look into it.
because they do. Again, I don't know about Nepal specifically, but I know like Brazil and Colombia and places like that he has the tours in other places. They have like a follow car, so they carry all your stuff, and that will go to like wherever the campsite is, or if you have an accommodation for the night. It depends on what kind of trip you're doing. There's enduro trips, there's dual sport trips, stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's all like pre-planned out for you and everything. So, I mean, if you do get to do that, maybe that's something to look into. So, I
That would
think
be
that would
cool.
be, yeah, that's what I've been looking at, the one in Panama for like 7 or 8 months, and I'm like, but Panama's kind of like gnarly. So
I'm sure it
I'm
is.
trying to I'm trying to get through like the hard enduro season, and then I'm hoping in the fall that I can do one of those tours. So,
That'd be very.
uh, yeah, it'd be really fun. But we'll see how it works out.
We'll see.
Uh,
There's got to be
but yeah.
so many cool and gnarly places though to go ride. Like
Oh yeah.
just spots you wouldn't even think about.
hmm
But yeah,
I still really want to get to Turkey. I want to go to like the Sea to Sky, and like there's like such good riding out there. And like who would have thought Turkey? Like
right.
but I've seen some amazing footage from it, and incredible. It's like hard enduro heaven.
That
Like there, parts of
them.
Spain, like parts of Iceland, like
Mm,
oh, just so cool.
yeah.
Absolutely incredible. I just want to go everywhere and be on my bike.
Go everywhere.
Yeah.
Just playing with a dirt bike and just
Yeah.
make.
I'm gonna get my pilot's license so I can get my own plane so I can
There you
just
go.
go.
It's a good plan.
I like it. I think it's great. So, going back once again off of my tangents.
It's all good.
Um, so when you're getting ready for your races, um, what is your main focus? Like as far as like, do you have a focus on training, nutrition, things like that?
Yes, and yes and no. It's definitely changed with having kiddos.
Mm-hmm.
Training is has become a little, a little tough.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have a pretty I started maybe 5 or 6 years ago, kind of geeking out on nutrition, and that's something that I've gotten kind of dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say I have um, like a specific race prep or like season prep nutrition
Mm-hmm.
plan or anything like that. But yeah, I that's something that I have kind of a big focus on all the time. I end up eating a lot of meat. Um,
Okay.
so steak is my secret uh,
Okay.
nutrition secret. As far as the
I
training,
like it.
yeah, me too. It's delicious. Um, as far as the training, I do I um try to do as much as I can at home. Like I ended up doing a lot of early morning like kettlebell basement workouts,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to get on the bike as much as I can early in the morning in the summertime. um I yeah, luckily have somewhere kind of close to to go ride, and I can sneak away and do that before work. Um, and yeah, just try as much as I can. I also end up being pretty active at work. I work in construction, so I end up working with my hands and working. My work is pretty physical all day long, and so
Mm-hmm.
that ends
Yeah,
up being part of the kind of a part of the training regimen. Um,
that's good.
but yeah, I always wish I could devote a little bit more time and effort into the training itself. And it always ends up that like spring rolls around, you're like, oh man, I didn't do quite as much as I in this winter. Um,
Yeah.
but I think it gets easier in the summertime. Like you said, longer days, easier to
Mm-hmm.
get seat time. I'll usually try 2 or 3 days a week to go out and get like a really hard ride
Mm-hmm.
in the mornings, maybe sometimes on the weekend, and then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, usually 2 or 3 days a week, just kind of home workout, trying to get the heart rate up and work on strength and be able to personally be able to pick the bike off the ground. That's like that's what I end up doing the most during these races, is picking
Mm-hmm.
my bike. So trying to be efficient at doing that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, not super duper strict. Just yeah, try and be just mindful of my focus has been more on like health and longevity and less on like specific. I think a byproduct of that is having good performance,
Mm-hmm.
athletics,
Yeah.
is kind of a byproduct of the nutrition and
Mm-hmm.
training. So yeah.
Yeah. I've found that like nutrition really can make or break whatever training you're putting in. Like
Mhm.
if you're going out and whether it's marathon running or if it's lifting weights, whatever, if you're not fueling your body, you're going to see a huge difference in performance. And if you're not fueling your body properly and giving it what it needs, you're just giving it junk all the time, it's definitely not going to perform properly.
Totally.
So that's been my biggest thing, and that's something I always try and like just kind of see. Riley Bender totally screwed it up because then he's like, "Oh yeah, I won like 5 races in a row and I had like McDonald's every morning." And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah, that's
here,
what happens
Riley."
if you're 17
And
or
then
18, you can get away with that.
Cody Cody said the same thing. He's like, "Yeah, I've
Oh,
eaten a lot of McDonald's and one." I'm like, "Oh, whoa."
so
So
those are
I think the secret really is maybe McDonald's. Like maybe we should all be eating more. I don't know.
well, man, I should start eating more McDonald's and maybe I'll get invited back to
Right?
the show
It's
pits.
like I think Riley said it was like the sausage McMuffin right before the race. He had like 2 of them, and I was just laughing. I was like, "Oh my god." But yeah,
Good.
Cody said something about it, and I was just like, "Oh, of course, of course." But, like, I mean, I know. So I'm friends with a few top pros, and I know that they eat a lot more McDonald's than they let on. So, like, sometimes you just gotta, like, make yourself feel better, and everyone eats for emotion at some point in their life. So,
Oh my gosh. That's pretty
yeah,
fun.
but I for the most part, though, I mean, everything should be in moderation, right? Everything has balance. So if you're eating clean 90% of the time or even 80% of the time, having McDonald's once or twice in like a month is not going to kill it. Kill your training, kill your nutrition. If you're doing it every single day, that's
Sure.
when things get hairy, in my
Right.
opinion, unless you're Riley Bender and then you win races. So
Secret sauce.
yeah, just, for anyone out there listening, if you really want to get to that level, just those sausage McMuffins every morning before a race.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's kind of if you can, yeah, there was a period of time there where I went pretty heavy into like the whole foods, low carb, high protein, like
Mhm.
borderline like carnivore uh
Yeah.
kind of it. And it felt amazing. It was like it was um huge change in just how I felt and body composition and how I could perform doing, mountain biking and skiing and everything. Um,
Yeah.
but it definitely, that's another change that I've noticed with having kiddos is you've got to understand what happens in the real world. Sometimes you can't be clean 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It's, it's okay to have, to, to enjoy the 5% that you're, eating with your kids and eating, having ice cream. And I agree. It's
Yeah.
about balance, but yeah, I'm definitely not going to suggest too much McDonald's. I'll stray away.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of McDonald's, but I definitely like when I started adding more protein to my diet, I felt so good. And that was like the peak of my ultra training was like I was like 180 grams of protein a day.
Oh yeah.
Um so yeah, it was just fantastic. I felt like I was performing really well. I was doing a lot of riding at the time and some for me hard riding, but it wasn't like hard enduro, but I was trying to keep up with pro and A riders
Yeah.
and not doing a very good job, but I was trying. And it's just like I felt like I could go a lot further and a lot longer. And previous to that, I had tried a lot of different stuff. Um, at one point, I was doing the vegan thing, and I just felt like I could never like stay focused. And um, that was my personal experience with it. Um, but every body is different and every person's metabolism is different. So I always like to explore the differences, but I definitely am kind of more like you where the protein worked better for me and still works better for me. Um, I just have to like really kind of balance it because then being a female, there's certain times of the month that protein throws things out of whack for me. So it's just like everybody is different, like I said.
It's different. So
But
agreed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um So in the last few minutes, I wanted to ask
Sure.
if you had advice for somebody who's brand new on a dirt bike, what's your best advice for that person?
Oh man, that's a good one. Brand new on a dirt bike, I would say, and enjoy it and don't get discouraged. I think it's something that can be, especially depending on what kind of riding you're trying to do and how new you are, it can be discouraging to to crash and to fail and to scraped up and but I think one of the most important things is to persevere and to keep trying. That's all you can do. Is things might not always go your way, but you can dust yourself off, get back up, and keep working at it and give it your best shot. So
Yeah.
yeah, don't get discouraged and keep working at it, keep trying to progress.
Yeah. I like that. And then, so what about somebody who's brand new to hard enduro?
Oh man. No, I think it's funny because I have a couple buddies that are kind of brand new to hard enduro. I
You're probably
think
going to tell your buddy something different than some random person.
a few more communities in that. Um, I don't know. I think I think with hard enduro specifically,
Mhm.
there's I think you got to be patient and embrace the challenge of it. Like the purpose of the sport is to be hard. It's in the
Yeah.
name. It's gonna
Yeah.
be. It's not as you ask Robert or Grayson. I always say it's not rainbow fluffy bunny enduro. It's hard. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and the challenge is like the reason, at least one of the big reasons I do it is the challenge, the constant challenge, the constant need to progress. And so it,
Mhm.
it's not going to happen overnight. It takes patience and yeah, embrace the suck.
I like that.
No, it's yeah, it's why we do it. So
Yep.
if you don't want to do
Yeah.
it, that's okay. But yeah,
Exactly.
I think
That's
that
it. I'm helping this little girl right now. She lives here. She's my neighbor and she just got a 140.
mm,
And she's like, I want to ride like you. And I was like, okay, you want to ride like me? Let me show you some of the stuff that I'm riding at my level. And I'm very clear with her what my level is. And so I took her to my little training loop and she looked at it, she goes, "This is what you ride?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "I don't wanna do this shit." She goes, "This is crazy." So we did,
yeah,
like, a family
you're right.
dinner, and her mom was like, "So I hear you're insane." And I was like, "Yeah. Yeah, a little bit."
Yeah,
Because one of the rocks that I practice on, uh, is, like, 5 feet tall, which is my height.
mm, yeah,
And so, like, I go up it to get through the wash to get to the rock section that I practice in,
mhm,
and she was just like, "You're absolutely insane." Because I told her, because like, we were talking about, like, the line to take and everything, and I was like, "Okay, so you cannot go to the left where it looks easy because if you do, there's a hole on the other side of that." And I was like, "You will fall into the hole. Trust me. Ask me how I know." Um, but like also it's like it's really hard to describe this, but basically like the rock when you're looking down at it looks like two ledges next to each other, like
okay,
coming down, and like there's a big space between it. So when you're going up, if your tire falls into that, either tire, like it's a far enough gap that your tire can fall into it, and I've had it happen where my back tire just slipped into it and then all of a sudden you're sliding backwards like a slide and then there's a rock wall right there. So I have hit that wall. um so you have to have enough speed and momentum to like, I guess more momentum than speed to get up it and to not fall into that. but without catapulting yourself into the rock that is directly at the top, that is about 3 feet tall. And so for somebody like me, it's quite a maneuver to get
Sure.
up it and then go off to the right and
That's
be
not true.
okay. But yeah, so she was looking at it, we're discussing it, and she's just like, "You're insane." And so, but I told her, I was like, I'm here to help you figure out what you want to ride. You want to ride your dirt bike, but do you want to ride on trails? Do you want to ride on track? Like, what kind of trails do you want to be on? And so all of this stuff that we're looking at different trails. I took her to single track. I just took her up the mountain, and so we're just trying to figure out what works best for her, because I think, and I told her, if you find what you're most passionate about, you're going to keep doing it. But I was like, if I keep taking you on my rides and you don't like that, then you're not going to want to ride anymore. And I don't want to be the reason for that.
No.
So I want to help her find whatever it is that she likes. She wants to go try a track. So I've found a track for her mom to take her to, and she can go and check it out. I'm gonna not go, but if she decides to start racing, she's my neighbor, I'll go and watch her, I'll go support. But I think that as long as people are finding their passion in life and they're pushing towards their passion, I'm gonna support that no matter what it is, whether it's dirt bikes, whether it's knitting, I don't know, whatever it is that you have passion for, I will support you 100%. Just may not be my thing, but I just want everyone to be happy. So like dirt bikes did that for me. Dirt bikes gave me the ultimate happy. And I always say, like, I feel like I'm overflowing with happiness now. And like I just want to bottle it up and give it to everybody, but I don't know how to do that. So this is the next best thing.
I love it.
So then this is your time, and you can give any shout outs, thank yous, anything like that.
Sounds good. Yeah, I guess first and foremost, my wife Morgan, for putting up with me and supporting me in this endeavor to go do.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Yeah. You are the like Dollar General version of Cody Webb, and your wife's name is Morgan.
Oh, yes.
That is amazing. What a coincidence.
I got 2 kids that are not far from his kids' ages too. I'm just trying
to God.
with Cody. We also don't live very far from each other. I don't know if you knew that or not. So yeah.
That just made my day. Okay, sorry. Anyway, continue. I'm gonna clip this and I'm gonna send it to him.
Sounds good. And it's funny because he and I we'll send each other. We end up riding in some of the same spots in Colorado. He knows Mike at the shop. So Mike's a Sherco dealer. Yeah. He's worked with Mike. And yeah, he and I, we haven't spent like much time together. We've ridden together a couple of times, but yeah, we talk on Instagram every once in a while and send each other memes about dad stuff. And yes, both of our wives' names are Morgan.
That's amazing. Anyway, continue. I apologize, but
yeah. So, but no, my wife Morgan for putting up with me in this this goofy hobby that I have, and supporting me through this endeavor of wanting to try racing and traveling, and yeah, her support is invaluable and means the world to me. Man, Mike at Motorsport Masters has been a huge help. I started riding for him last year, and he's the only Sherco dealer in the Denver area, and he is awesome. He works on dirt bikes and side-by-sides, full service shop, and he's awesome. He's known as Moto Mike, and the dude he has some skills wrenching on machines. So he's great. Awesome. See, Enduro Spec Suspension is someone I've been working with this year. Warren over there is awesome and has helped me out a bunch. Phoenix Handlebars, helping me keep straight bars on the bike, which is a bit of a challenge in hard enduro. And yeah, all my riding buddies, my close friends that I spend time on trail with, And yeah, that's what I got. So love them all.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again for taking time to do this. I know it's hard being a dad and working and training and all the things that you do, but I really appreciate you taking the time coming out here talking to me and just laughing with me because I feel like we did a lot of that tonight.
That's good. That's what you
That's
need.
great.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, and I appreciate you
Yeah,
with the podcast and
thank
helping
you.
the sport, and yeah, just helping us learn more about all the cool people that are involved in it. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really cool to learn about people and to be able to share it and to know that these stories resonate with people all over the world is just incredible. I get messages from people everywhere. I mean, I've gotten people in Iran and Russia and Australia and UK, and it's crazy, and everybody has a story that they resonate with, and that's really cool to me because, like you said, it's a really small community here in the States, but then it's worldwide, we're still really small. Like,
Yeah.
yes, there's a world hard enduro, or there was a world hard enduro championship, but who knows if that'll happen again. But like, it's still a small group of people. We all know Supercross is a lot bigger, motocross is a lot bigger. There's a lot of other disciplines that are way, way bigger than hard enduro, but um it's really cool to know that we all kind of have similar stories across the world. So,
Yeah. Absolutely.
um thank you for sharing yours, and this was really cool, and I guess I will be seeing you at Silver Kings. I
Yes.
think that's the next one. Yeah.
We'll be
Yeah.
racing.
So yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So that'll be great.
I'm excited for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and, I guess we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.
Alright. Bye.